Hey folks, we got a quick deck tech for Odin, God of War. This is the Order of Faith version that comes out in the Game of Gods booster set. It's a pretty simple deck, really easy to pilot. You're basically hoping to live the dream and cast the Artillerist of Faith. When it enters the battlefield, you get to discard a card and do damage 200 multiplied by the cost of the discarded card. So we play cards like Avenger of Amadeus, the largest resonator in New Frontiers. It is a 10 cost, and Ultra Magic Stone Golem, a 9 cost. So if you manage to discard the 10 cost to Artillerist of Faith, you do 2,000 damage turn 1, and then you draw the card. So that's essentially what this deck just wants to do. So again, you can just turn 1, cut him in half. If you get lucky, draw another Artillerist and another huge card. You could turn 2 and end the game. Our second threat is Misteltein, Dark Sword Saint. When you order her, she gets the ability to discard a card and gains +X counters equal to the cost of the discarded card. Now, when you order her, she uses Odin's ability to find a card in the deck and put it in the graveyard. What you want to do with that is get Brunhild, and when she hits the graveyard, she'll remove herself from the game and increase your total cost counts by 2. So with an ordered Misteltein, the first thing you discard will be giving an additional couple of counters. So say you discard an Avenger, instead of the 10 counters, that's actually going to be 12 counters that Misteltein gets. The discard ability is once per turn, and so there are enough small things in the deck that you want in the graveyard that you do want to be able to use that every turn. You do want to be using Misteltein's discard and draw ability once per turn. Now, as far as our huge cards, the Avenger of Amadeus cannot be played in this deck. It's mostly just to be discarded. When it hits the graveyard, it's going to be put on the bottom of your deck. Whenever Odin orders a card and finds a white card, it's going to shuffle your deck. So instead of one of your Avengers being stuck on the bottom of your deck, you should still have a pretty good chance of drawing one when you need it. But the Ultra Magic Stone Golem can be played in this deck. It is a 9 cost, but it costs 2 less for each different named stone you have. So it's possible on turn 3 to use this to put it in play and board wipe, or you can wait till turn 4 to order it in and get it as a J ruler. Now, in the case that the Ultra Magic Stone Golem is the J ruler, you can then use the Soulstealing Valkyrie to sacrifice that Magic Stone Golem, and your opponent will lose 200 life multiplied by the total cost of the J ruler. Now, if you ordered that and it ended up being the second thing you ordered, you can probably get another Brunhild. That'll be another 2 removed from game that will be increasing your total cost. So if the Soulstealing Valkyrie eats the 9 cost increased by 2 sets of 2, that's 13. So your opponent's going to take 26 from that, and you're going to gain 2,600 life. So Brunhild is going to be the best option of things to find and put in the graveyard or discard when you have the option, and you're not going to be using one of the big boys like Avenger of Amadeus or Ultra Magic Stone Golem. Aside from the Brunhild Sign of Faith, we also use Soldier of Minerva and Praying Valkyrie. They do the same thing she does, except on a smaller scale. But there is enough options in the deck that have you discarding cards that you can end up putting a lot of these in the graveyard and get to a boost of 6 or 7 sooner than you'd know it. So this is just kind of like a theme deck version of this deck, by the way. It's not super optimal. It's just going full theme and hoping to get there and drawing the cards you want to get. These last couple Resonators are just kind of interchangeable. We run one Dark Mage of Maat just because it's a really good card in case we need to play it and have our opponent lose, Resonators on the board. That's a good option. If we want to have them discard, we can try to play that whenever the time is right. It is just a good option. You can run more than that, but I don't really have the theme of having our opponents discard. I'm more based on me discarding things, so I have more cards dedicated to that. And then Randgrid's a really good card. She's even included in the precon, so a good option for double light. She is a 5/5, but she does have the option to increase her power and toughness by X100, where X is the highest total cost. Because of all the cost building, she's going to probably be able to hit most things. When she's ordered, she enters the battlefield and destroys all J Resonators with power less than hers. So pretty useful card. We have just the one because Magic Stone Golem also board wipes, so this is like a mini Magic Stone Golem in our deck. For spells, we're running 4 Odin Enters the Game of Gods. Mostly we're using this card to draw what we're looking for. It has us draw a card, put 1 in the graveyard, and remove 1 from the game. So often we're hoping to discard one of our total cost builders so that it can remove itself from the game and increase those total costs. Then we'll draw the most useful card and remove from the game the least useful card. The secondary option with Faith, because we're playing Odin, will be turned on, and it'll destroy up to 1 target non-magic stone entity with total cost X or less, where X is the highest total cost among entities I control, and because of all the building, that's probably going to be able to hit just about anything. We play 2 repeating Faith revivals. This, for 3 will, allows us to play an uncancelable revival spell, and then it returns itself to our hand. So if we were lucky to get a Artillerist early to do big damage, we can just use this to get the Artillerist back from the grave and do another set of big damage. Even if we don't have one of the big cards to discard, if it's mid to late game and we've built a lot of cards in the removed zone, then he can actually do a lot of damage using just about any card he discards. Keep the Faith is another option for revival. It will revive a 1 cost card from the grave. So often this is just going to target the Artillerist to end the game. It's got an interesting other effect in that it can give evasion and kind of fly over stuff if you need to and kind of close the game that way. Or if you're looking for the cards you need really badly and you have a J ruler you can afford to sacrifice, you can use the last ability that is turned on because of the Faith Resonance, and it says you can destroy your J ruler and draw cards equal to its total cost. So if it's late to mid game and you have a bunch of builders, you might be able to draw 5-6 cards off of this and find what you need. We also play Wind of Asgard. Wind of Asgard is a single light for a quick cast. You and entities you control gain barrier until end of turn, but because it does have Faith Resonance in Odin, it costs nothing to play this card. So you basically are forced to have at least a copy and probably the full set in the sideboard. It's a really good card, but because we're more dedicated to just getting there, we want to draw the cards and use the pieces, so we're not focused main board in having a lot of protection, but if we need it, we can get it from the sideboard. And the last card we play is Odin's Gloom. For a dark and a light, we get to destroy a target J ruler. Our opponent has to banish a Resonator, and then our opponent has to discard a card. We don't really focus on discarding cards for our opponent again, but it's not a bad option if that's how you want to take it. We often just end up kind of removing this from the game with Odin Enters the God, but still, it's a good option for having in the deck. And that's basically the deck. Again, you're just using the Artillerist of Faith to do maximized damage if you're lucky enough to draw him in one of the big cards. If not, you use Misteltein to put a bunch of counters on her and be a non-damageable threat with Pierce. And the last possible big damage out of nowhere is that Soulstealing Valkyrie to just eat up your J ruler and finish off your opponent. Let me know what you think. I definitely suggest you build it. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty easy to play. You're just drawing cards, and eventually you get there or you don't. More often than not, you do get there, though, so it's surprising how consistent it can be with the amount of draw in the deck. So let me know if you play it. Let me know if you have something similar. I would like to know what people think about it. And if you do get to play it, because it is probably one of the more fun decks I've played in any game, probably in the past couple years, that was just constructed deck building. Anyway, thanks for watching this deck tech. I do appreciate it. Y'all have a good day and have a good game.